We're here today to speak with Mrs. Austin. George Johnson is here with me, and we're going to talk to Mrs. Austin about her husband, Richard Austin, and the efforts and strides he made for black CPAs in Michigan. Good afternoon, Mrs. Austin. How are you today?
I'm just fine, Randy.
Good. You started working with Richard Austin right after you were married, and he became the first black CPA in the state of Michigan. Why don't you talk a little bit about those first days when he got started?
Well, we had the office in our home, and we had the office in our home for about 4 years, and he had one full-time employee, George Washington, and then during the income tax season, which ended in March 15th then instead of April 15th, we had several part-time employees. And the office was in the home, and I was the only secretary. I did the cooking, secretary, the typing, answered the phone, sewed on shirt buttons, or anything that was needed. I was the girl Friday that did it, because he couldn't afford to pay anyone else.
Sounds good.
Yes. So I worked for room and board.
Sounds like you also provided the room and board.
Yes, yes, I did.
When he took his exam to become a CPA, one of the requirements was you had to work for a public accounting firm. And reading some of the information and documents you shared with me earlier, firms at that time were not hiring black accountants. How did he get his experience? Do you remember?
Yes. He received a scholarship to Wayne. Wasn't Wayne then, but he received a scholarship because he was the top student in his class at Cass Technical High School. And there were more than 350 in the class, but he was the top students, and he graduated with highest honors and this scholarship. I was in the same class, June 1931. I had a little problem with math, so I only graduated with honorable mention. He couldn't afford to take the scholarship. He couldn't afford to use the scholarship because you had to have pants to wear to school, and his mother was a widow with he had two other brothers, and they had to work to support the family and keep the family going. And he went to school in the evening and worked during the day.
Okay.
He was working for a gentleman, Mr. Parker, who had 5 shoe stores. And he first started as maybe a little boy, about 12 years old. At this same store, they had a shoe shine stand. And he worked as a shoe shine boy. And the shoe shines were 10 cents, and he gave the owner 5 cents out of it. And that's how he got started at this store. And the owner of the store saw that he was very smart, and he started giving him other jobs to do. And he learned to repair shoes, he learned to sell shoes, and eventually he was doing the bookkeeping for the store. And this same man had 5 other shoe stores, and he did the bookkeeping for all the 5 of the shoe stores and collected the money and banked it.
And was this when he was in college, or was this?
This is when he was in high school.
In high school?
And going into college.
Oh, okay.
He started with this man when he was in elementary school, about 12 years old.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And he was Mr. Parker was very, very fond of him. He had a couple of girls, but he didn't have any boys, and he called Richard his son. Mm-hmm. So, so he worked for him for a number of years,
Okay.
and with the other stores. And in the meantime, he was going to school at night. He couldn't go to Wayne, but he went to Detroit Institute of Technology. And he took accounting because he was interested in it, because he was doing all this bookkeeping.
Okay.
And one of his teachers came in the class, and he was the only black in the class, and he wanted to know why he was in the class, because he couldn't get a job. And that just inspired him to work harder and get a job. So he had another instructor who was very interested in him, and he saw that he had potential. And this particular instructor was a CPA, and he had an office in the book building downtown. And he took him in his office, because he had to work at night.
Okay.
He couldn't work in the day anyway, because he didn't want his white clients to see this black man coming through his office. So that's how he got his requirement to take the CPA
All right.
exam.
Also, from talking with you over the years, I believe Mr. Austin had some of his own clients also that he brought
Yes, he did.
into
He did.
that
He
practice,
did.
or at least he would practice with.
He did. That was part of the deal.
Okay.
Yes.
And then eventually, after that, he started his own firm out of your home.
No. Yes, if I can remember
Okay.
correctly. Yes, out of his home. But when he became certified,
Okay.
he moved it out of the home.
All right. And then at some point, he took in some partners.
Yes, not right away, though. He worked as Richard H. Austin and Company.
Okay.
And the partners came in later.
So he gave opportunities to other young black accountants who
Yes.
needed to get the experience to become certified public
Yes.
accountants.
After he, I'd like to tell you how he learned that he became a CPA.
Okay.
It was December the 31st, 1941, and we had invited a lot of our friends to our home to celebrate the coming of the new year.
Okay.
And at midnight, when everyone was celebrating, making a lot of noise and everything, the doorbell rang. And there stood a Western Union telegraph messengers. That's how we got our messages then. We didn't have email
Emails
and
and
all these
cell
little
phones.
gadgets that,
Right.
that George
Palms
has.
and
Yes.
reels. Okay.
And usually when you got a message like that, it was bad news. Somebody seriously ill, come at once. So I became a little concerned, and I gave the message to my husband to read. It was addressed to him, and he read it, and he looked up and read it to the whole crowd with his smile on his face, and it said, "Congratulations upon becoming a certified public accountant."
Wow.
And we immediately stopped welcoming the new year and started celebrating Richard Austin becoming Michigan's first black certified public accountant. And they were congratulating him and offering up a toast and making a lot of noise. And there was a little girl there. She was celebrating too, shaking her noisemaker, "Austin CPA, Austin CPA." Then she turned and asked me, "What is a CPA?"
Okay.
We had never had one. She'd never heard of one, but to her, it must have been a good thing because everybody was so jubilant, so she was celebrating too.
That's great.
That's a great way to bring in the new year.
Yes,
That's for sure.
Yes.
So he was in his firm, though, for how many years before he decided to go into politics?
Before he
Went into politics.
oh, he was a practicing CPA for 30 years.
Wow.
First as Richard H. Austin before, and then as Austin, Washington, and Davenport.
Okay.
And and the next 6 black CPAs became qualified to take the CPA exam while working in his office.
So he was very important to blacks becoming CPAs in the
That's
state
right.
of Michigan.
That's right.
Not only being the first, but obviously opening the door for a lot of others
Yes.
to become certified.
Mhm.
And I would say opening the door up until 1966 when I started with the firm, was
That-
one of the larger national firms.
That's
so
right.
For that period of time, he was the only person we could really get experience from.
Now he formed a partnership of Austin, Washington, and Davenport, which became George Johnson
And
and Company.
Yes, that was 1971. I remember
Yes.
that very, very
Yes.
well. And Mr. Austin, I would just like to add on, his clients were absolutely just nice. Over the years, I would go back and look at the clients, and you may want to mention some of those clients, but clients who were very, very well established in the community.
Yes.
What prompted Mr. Austin to think about politics? He had a successful accounting practice going.
Well, I think maybe he was talked into it.
Okay.
His first attempt was at running for a political was Michigan Constitutional Convention.
Okay.
That convention meets every 50 years to review and rewrite Michigan's constitution, and he was elected to that convention, and he was appointed to the taxation committee. And I think from then on he kind of got attached to politics,
Okay.
because that's when he started running for office, and that's when they start talking him into it, his friends and the political party.
And how did that change his life and your life?
Well, I don't think it changed my
No?
life very much because I'm kind of a private person and all. But I went along, I tolerated it.
Okay. He ran for mayor and lost by a small margin, and then went on to become the first black Secretary of State in the state of Michigan
That's right.
also.
He also ran for Congress,
Okay.
ran against John Conyers.
Okay.
And John Conyers is still there.
Right, right.
Mhm.
And as Secretary of State, he's, I think I read, re-elected 4 times.
Yes, 5, 6, something
Okay.
like that.
So he was there a long time and did a lot for the state as Secretary of State.
Mhm.
If you were to look at, I mean, the students today at Wayne State receive scholarships now in his name, and obviously a lot of them don't remember him because of the time that's passed. What kind of message do you think he'd want to give to the young students?
Well, I hope that they will be motivated like my husband, because the opportunity is there. He had to make his opportunity, but it is there for them, and the only thing, they have to get their education. And I hope that by the scholarship fund, that will help them financially if they need it, and also will motivate them.
Those are great words. He gave a lot back to the community too. I mean, he was involved in a lot of extra activities.
Yes, he did a lot of volunteer community work.
And what message do you think he leaves for young people today in that respect?
Do the best you can and give back. Help those behind you to climb.
That's a great message too, and that's one that we hope to inspire the students who become Austin
Yes.
Scholarship winners to, continue that legacy and continue to give back through guidance and professional mentoring to younger students who continue in those paths in the accounting profession. George, you obviously benefited.
Yes, I can say Mr. Austin, his clients included insurance companies, different funeral homes and property companies, and many physicians.
Detroit Memorial
Park,
Cemetery.
right? And just many different clients, and it was really, and going and looking at all of his files from the past, it was really, I was just amazed. And he had a very, very good reputation with the Internal Revenue Service, and just well respected throughout the community. So it was really an honor for me to go ahead and to have those clients.
And then another thing, we had to go out and get our clients.
Okay.
Today, they want them. So
Yeah, so
I say to the kids, get their education.
Correct.
The other thing that I think is real interesting is it shows that even though you become a CPA and accountant, obviously it can open a lot of other doors for
That's
you
right.
in life as a career and profession. I mean, he had a very successful accounting career and a profession in accounting, and went on to become a very successful, basically state servant and politician, and worked for the state. And it shows you that accounting background, I think, can allow you to go in a lot of different directions.
Then also to add on, Mr. Austin for years was the Wayne County General Auditor.
Yes, he was.
And so that's another, that points out as far as governmental accounting, he held that position as far as head internal auditor.
When he ran for mayor, I really don't think he wanted to. It was 1969, and it was in 1967 when they had the riot in
Right.
Detroit, and the city was all divided. And at that point, I don't think he wanted to, but they talked him into doing it. And once we got into it, he put everything he had, and he lost by 43 votes, a very small amount.
Wow.
And then they saw that he could get elected. That's why they asked him to run for Secretary of State.
And he had a good career.